Parliamentary precinct. My colleague Bulelani Philip has an interview that we were working on. You're not supposed to scoop your colleagues, Bulelani. Everybody excited about the announcement of Khuleko Hlengwa's new role.
Yeah, well, it's a busy news day, Desiree, and we've also been trying to actually get hold of him. He's been on the phone, Seemingly he's quite a busy man this morning. But of course, today, the big day of the State of the Nation address, we're going to first start and speak to him about his party's expectation before we actually go into the issues that you want us to talk about, Desiree. I'm going to welcome on screen now Mr. Khuleko Hlengwa, who's the national spokesperson of the Inkatha Freedom Party. Mr. Hlengwa, thank you so much for your time. Firstly, State of the Nation address by President Cyril Ramaphosa tonight. The IFP's expectations?
Thanks, Bulelani, and to the viewers. Look, the President had an opportunity to lay his statement of intent when he was elected here in the House and when he was inaugurated in Pretoria. So he has spelled out a vision really in terms of where he wants to take the country. Tonight is about how we get there. And so we're expecting the President to speak in very strong terms about the practical interventions. And the key focuses for the IFP really are about economic growth and economic development and job creation. Because all the other social programs that we may have as a country aspire to have, from access to healthcare, free education, social grants and so on, all those hinge on a growing tax base. And so it's important that the President tonight is able to inspire confidence, provide policy certainty for small businesses and for your global international investors, so that they know exactly how the ease of business is going to take place. As we speak about just the issue of business this morning, in one of the meetings with the EU ambassadors, one of the issues they've critically raised as a hindrance to the ease of doing business in South Africa is that the challenges around home affairs and the access to visas and so on. So those are all the things that we need to speak about. So what we are saying as the IFP, let's not speak in broad strokes, but let's speak in specifics. So we're expecting the President really to have a very keen focus on economic growth, job creation, particularly for young people who bear the brutal brunt of all these shortcomings, but also hinge to that, we're expecting the President to speak about the issue of national security, the fact that you've got an increase in violent crimes, particularly here in the Western Cape and so on, and the violence taking place in our schools are an indication of a country which is slipping into violent mode, and that cannot be a norm. And so we need to really speak very strongly about that. But finally, I think the President will be duty-bound to inspire confidence again about the issues of corruption, which continue to riddle really the public service. And I think that the revelations coming out of the state capture inquiry are the clearest indication yet that the rot ran very, very deep. And the fact that they found themselves within the SOEs forces then the President's hand to speak about SOEs tonight and to provide certainty. And the issue is to restore good governance in these SOEs so that they can be able to be part and parcel of the broader South African project of economic growth. So we are expecting the President as well to speak about those. The issue is, look, if these SOEs are no longer viable for the state and for the taxes, the honorable thing, the responsible and the most business sensible thing to do is to effect public-private partnerships. And if it means privatizing some of them, then so be it. We are concerned about the SABC, SAA, Eskom and so on, because they are the backbone really of this economy. And so when things go south there and government fails, then we need to find alternative partners to be able to rescue them.
All right, I hope the President can appease your expectations. But let's shift focus for a moment. The ANC yesterday announcing its nominees for people who will be chairpersons of portfolio committees. Of course, the committee of Scopa is still vacant. The party says it's talking to opposition parties. Has the IFP been approached and will the IFP, if that is the case, accept that nomination?
In the event that the IFP is approached, the caucus took a decision that it will apply its mind then and will then accept the position, and so we will speak about who feels it at that particular point. We believe that SCOPA is an integral part of Parliament's internal checks and balances for oversight and accountability, and we would want to ensure that that committee is actually functional. So at the appropriate time, I'm sure that the caucus leadership here in consultation with the NLC will make a decision insofar as how we move forward with that. But in the event that the position is offered, then most certainly IFP will accept it.
Have you personally been approached?
It would be irregular to approach an individual. You approach a party, and Mkhuleko Hleng was deployed here by the IFP, as is any other member of Parliament by their respective political parties. So as a disciplined cadre of the IFP, I would push back on any personal advances and allow the political party process to run its course, because that on its own would be irregular for a member to have personal ambitions. Let's give space to the discussions that are taking place, but I must emphasize the initial point that in the event that the IFP is approached, and so that is the position right now.
So a yes and no answer, the IFP has not been approached as yet?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
All right. And just generally, some of the nominations that the ANC has put forward, of course, there are some questionable names that have been mentioned, Faith Mutambi, Mosebenzi Zwane, Bongani Bongo. Your impression on the nominations?
I think we need to look at these committee chairpersons in the broader context and reality of the challenges within the ANC, that they have to appease and allay the collective anxieties of the warring factions within the ANC. And so the exercise of cabinet and the exercise of appointing portfolio committee chairs was determined by that particular reality. And of course the ANC was also further confined by the cards that they were dealt, by the structures in terms of the people that were nominated. There was no other pool of people to choose from other than those that made it into Parliament, and inevitably, of course, then that would have actually given rise to the nominees that are there. We are obviously not ignorant to the fact that the issue of innocence until proven guilty goes a long way in the South African jurisprudence processes. And so we as the IFP are saying the law enforcement agencies must bring to a speedy, logical, legal conclusion any of the matters around the individual, so that we can be able to, one, move the dark cloud, or for that to be affirmed around individuals, but more importantly, to remove those dark clouds over Parliament, because Parliament cannot afford to continue moving forward led by compromised individuals. So it's unfortunate that some of the questionable characters have made it into those positions, but within the broader reality confronting us, that's what the ANC had, that's what they had to choose. And so this is more likely a question that the ANC has to answer and account to, because these are their people that they deployed. All we can say as the IFP, we expect all chairpersons and all portfolio committees to do their work within the prescripts and dictates of the Constitution and the parliamentary rules to the best of their abilities, to put the country first, hold the executive to account, and ensure that the collective lives of our people improve. That would be the yardstick measure. And if there's any other allegation, those individuals then must go and appear before a court of law and answer for themselves there.
All right, thank you so much, Mkhuleko Hleng. He is the national spokesperson of the Inkatha Freedom Party. Of course, talking about the party has not yet been approached as far as is concerned by the ANC to serve in SCOPA, and he personally has not been approached, saying that that would be an irregular way of doing things. Of course, we will be continuing to be giving you up-to-date information of what's happening here in the precinct of Parliament ahead of the State of the Nation address scheduled for tonight at 7 p.m. For now, Desiree, we're going to cross back to you. For more reaction, we'll talk to you a bit later.
Well, Mkhuleko Ahlengwa, they're saying we're putting the cart ahead of the horse. Well, I suppose that's one to watch there. But Africa has over 6 million refugees and is one of the regions with the most displaced people in the world. That's according to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Today is World Refugee Day. And for more, we cross to our SABC News correspondent, Coletta.